That snaps for losers, man. I don't get involved in that stuff, but
Angel Rashad Milligan rolling out.
That's a good question.
Brandon,
We
you want one
can't, we
quick
can't, we
question?
can't ask Rashad questions.
Okay,
Shout
Rashad.
out to Ryan Phillips. Ryan Phillips follows me again. Okay, so Ryan Phillips, man, he was someone who like followed me, didn't unfollow me, and now I guess he's following me again. So I guess I'll follow him back on air. But yeah, it's been an on and off thing since I used to work in Mississippi. He was in Starkville, and I was in Jackson, and then I moved back to Atlanta, and I was doing a lot of just black media stuff. And then I got unfollowed. Now I'm being followed again. Now that I guess I'm back in. Anyways, he said he was at the Tuscaloosa County Courthouse for day 3 of the Michael Lynn Davis capital trial. We're expecting to hear the testimony from former Crimson Tide standout Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller just finished testifying. We saw the dash cam video from his car. During the the windshield of his car was hit twice by Davis, who was seen in front of Miller's car firing at the Jeep. Miller said he was already on his way to go pick up Darius Miles when Miles texted him about the blink in his back seat. Miller testified that he was unaware of the blink until Miles asked him for it. Miller also testified that he interpreted the text from Miles to mean that somebody had threatened him. That is when Miles mentioned that someone who had been quote unquote faking, which was just a woman who like turned him down, right? It was something like that, right? Rest in peace to the young lady. When Davis was shown firing on the video, he's wearing a heavy jacket and his face is covered with the shiesty mask. It is clear from the conversation recorded in Miller's car after Miles tells Davis where the blink is that Miller and the UA basketball manager Cooper Lee in the passenger seat can tell something is wrong. Here's the story from Patch.com, neighborhood journalism at its finest, from Ryan Phillips. Let me see. Hold on. The most high-profile witness yet took the stand on the third day of the testimony in the Capitol. Blink. Jurors heard a lengthy testimony Thursday from former Alabama basketball standout and current Charlotte Hornet Brandon Miller on the third day of the Capitol trial of Michael Lynn Davis. As Patch previously reported, Davis is charged along with the former Alabama basketball player Darius Miles in the January 15, 2023 unaliving of 23-year-old Jamia Harris on Gray Street. She was a baby, bro. Young mother. On Gray Street near the Strip. The two Capitol unaliving cases are being tried separately, and the trial date for Miles had not been set as of the publication of the story. Miller, 22, is the most high-profile witness to take the stand yet in the case, who appeared in court wearing a dark suit and a white undershirt. Miller recalled the day before the blink as one of worth celebrating as he scored 31 points in Alabama's blowout win over LSU in Coleman Coliseum. He will go on to be the number 2 overall player selected in the 2023 NBA draft and was the top college player to be drafted. While Miller testified that he was not old enough to drink at the time, he said the original plan following the game was to go to the Strip and have a good time at Club 1225. He said the night began when he drove by himself to the Vi at the University Downs off of 15th Street to meet up with Miles Davis and fellow Crimson Tide teammate Jaden Bradley. As the Patch previously reported, Miller opted to leave the group to go to Mo's original BBQ downtown Tuscaloosa with the Alabama basketball walk-on Kai Spears upon seeing the long line wait outside of the 1225 on that rigid January evening. So he said, "All right, y'all, I'm leaving. I'm about to go get some food, bro. It's too cold." Miller testified that Miles rode with him to the Strip with the Dodge Charger, while Davis rode with Bradley in his 2-seat Dodge Charger. He said he let Miles know he was just down the street if he needed a ride before he departed for Moles. Chief Assistant District Attorney Paula Whitley then asked Miller to go over the text message exchange with Miles in time before the blink. Much of this have already been presented in court, but absent from the context provided by Miller on the stand Thursday. At 1:02 a.m., Miles texts Miller asking if he could pick him up and take him to the lofts, the apartments where Miles lived. Miller asked him if he needed to be picked up, to which Miles responded at 1:04 a.m. Whenever you leave that joint. Miller responded at 1:06 that it was probably going to be a minute. After a brief pause in the conversation, Miles texts Miller again at 1:19, asking how long he was going to be at Moles. Miller told Miles to ride with Bradley and said he was going to give Thai basketball player Jaden Quinterly. Jaden Quinterly? Was there a Jaden Quinterly or Javon Quinterly, right? Or was his brother on the team too? Oh, there is a Jaden Quinterly. I guess it was his brother. Oh, salute. So he said he was going to give Alabama basketball player Jaden Quinterly a ride back to his apartment. Miller went on to say that he would be at Quinterly's apartment at the Vi after dropping off Spears. Miller testified that he eventually texted Miles at 1:38 and that he was on his way to pick him up from the strip. With Miller en route, though, at almost the same time Miller texted him, Miles tells him, I need my joint. Blink blink just got the faking. Real life. Okay, I need my joint. N-word, real life just got the faking. What does that mean, bro? You need a joint. You don't need nothing, my boy. Miles was allegedly describing a brief verbal altercation on the strip between Davis and Cedric Johnson, the boyfriend of Jamia Harris, who Davis twice during an exchange of gunfire. They killed the unalive Harris, and as she sat in the front passenger seat of her black Jeep Wrangler. Johnson testified Tuesday that Davis was the initial aggressor. Whoa, dang. So he said. Oh, so that was the dude faking. So he said I need my piece. Because bruh was pushing up on me first. So I guess he was trying to talk to Jamia, and Buddy was like, no, we ain't doing that, blood. I don't know what was going on. I'm just coming up with some stuff. But I got to be careful with that, boy. That legal. And then, so then he came back. He said, I need, we in fire, we in crossfire. So he get it. I guess, so what Brandon Miller do, though? Oh, man. Johnson testified Tuesday that Davis was the initial aggressor and blinked first after he ran up to the driver's side of the Jeep. At the time of the crucial text message, Miles, Davis, and Bradley could be seen on surveillance camera cutting through the back parking lot of the Houndstooth Sports Bar on their way to where Bradley had parked his car at a nearby apartment complex. Miller responded again at 1:40 that he was on the way and later testified that he didn't know the blink owned by Miles was in his car until his teammate texted him about having it. While waiting for Miller to arrive and gave Miles a ride, Bradley's car can be seen pulling out onto Gray Street and parking. As Patch reported on Wednesday, Bradley testified Davis was angry after a verbal exchange with Johnson and refused to get into his car, so Miles did while they waited. Bradley, who had to physically pull Davis away from the argument with Johnson a few minutes earlier, also testified that Davis was quote unquote worried about the Jeep and wanted to go back up to Gray Street to look for it. Dash camera shows Miller's car was also shown to the jury on Thursday morning. This is a crucial piece of evidence for several reasons. One of the biggest being that it picked up the conversation while Miles told Davis that the blink was in the car and responded in affirmative when Davis asked if there was a bullet in the chamber. Miller did not speak with either man prior to or following the exchange. The dash cam footage first shows Miller traveling up the University Boulevard before taking it back way to Gray Street where Bradley's car was parked. While Miller drives slowly up the Gray Street, the camera clearly captures him passing the Jeep with its headlights turned off, following the red Impala. This was moments before the Jeep executed a U-turn, made its way back up down Gray Street, and pulled in behind Miller. Patch previously reported that the red Impala had been reported stolen and was driven by Shabonte Green. One of the occupants of the Impala, Jack Thompson, is also suspected by defense attorneys of being the third Blink Blink who fired at Blink during the Blink Blink. On the dash cam footage, however, Miles and Davis have both gone their separate directions at this point, and it's clear from the conversation between Miller and Alabama basketball manager Cooper Lee sitting in the passenger seat that something went wrong. What the heck is going on? Lee said. Then sounds. Bah, 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 bah. After the first bah, 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 Davis wearing a face covering with heavy coat with the hood pulled up can be seen in front of Miller's car. Bah, bah, bah. Miller testified that his car was hit twice through the front windshield and also sustained damage where he was sideswiped by the Jeep as two vehicles tried to exit Gray Street. What the F just happened, bro? Lee can be heard telling Miller at one point immediately after the blink blink. Miller, clearly panicked and upset about the damage to his car, told Lee, "Don't tell anybody that you saw that ish." Miller then testified that it was indeed Davis who was shown in the footage in front of the vehicle, blink blink, and the handgun in the direction of his car. When the prosecution wrapped up his questions on Thursday morning, Miller said that he met with the lead investigator, Brandon Culpepper, twice, was never charged, stressing that he had been cooperative with every phase of the investigation. While it is prohibited in court from being discussed in front of the jury, Miller and the two men charged with blink blink were defendants on a recently settled wrongful lawsuit with the family of Jemiah Harris. Cedric Johnson was also the defendant on the lawsuit at one point, but was dropped before the settlement agreement that was reached that saw the family paid an undisclosed amount exceeding $75,000. Under cross-examination by defense attorney John Robbins, Miller was asked if he interpreted the text message from Miles to mean that his friend felt threatened, to which he agreed. Miller again mentioned that he was already on his way when he received the message, but knew that the message meant before he arrived on Gray Street. He then explained the term faking used in the text message is slang for someone making a threat. What's more, Miller agreed with Robbins that a vehicle turning its lights off is indicative of a drive-by, a notion mentioned during the jury selection by a juror who was not selected for the panel in the Capitol Blink Blink trial. On the third day of the Capitol Blink Blink trial, will continue on Thursday afternoon in Tuscaloosa County Court with more witness testimony. That is a lot, bro. That is a lot. So that actually happened on Thursday, or I guess Wednesday, and came out on Thursday. Sheesh. Yeah, this is over. Should have never started. Buddy literally pulled behind Brandon Miller with the lights turned off, shaking my head. Will he finally get released? From the looks of it, it looks like they're about to charge the boyfriend. Yeah. Clay Travis, shame on you for trying to crucify Brandon Miller. Unbelievable. It was a big thing with while Miller drives up slowly up Gray Street, the camera clearly captures him passing the Jeep with its headlights turned off, followed by the red Impala. This was moments before the Jeep U-turned and made its way back down Gray Street behind. Yeah, we're going to need some apologies. He had zero reason to testify, though, if he only did it to clear his name as a man, he wrong. He probably subpoenaed, which most likely. So what you're saying, wrong place, wrong time, almost like Nate Oates was right. So yeah, that's what happened. Just found himself in a bunch of trouble. But it sounded like they said the boyfriend was the aggressor, according to Brandon's story. And so what does that mean now? Shoot. Also it was like Malika was in a lot of trouble for this, bro. When she mentioned this after he was drafted on this draft night. And I get it. She was just doing her job on some journalistic stuff. And I think people went overboard with the critiques of Malika just because she's a woman. You know what I'm saying? In sports and women in general in society, people just go crazy on because they hate women. However, this is something I think it should definitely be followed up on NBA Today if it hasn't already. I haven't watched NBA Today in a couple years. So let me see if I can find anything on YouTube about it right now. Brandon Miller, NBA Today. Let me see. I'm sharing the screen. Sharing the screen. Davis charged. LaMelo, Brandon. Yeah, I don't think they said anything about it, bro. So I definitely look forward to seeing an update. I think that's just fair journalism because she took a lot for that, for saying that during his draft night. So we'll see if she follows up with saying something during the playoffs. I mean, they're on the air like every day now, or at least every other day because of the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with that. But there's that. Shout out to Malika though, protect Black women. That's where I stand on the issue, and I think she was just doing her job. As always, my name is Rashad Milligan. This is the Roll 5K Subs. If you're new to the channel, I hope you all take care. Have a great morning. Have a great afternoon. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Whenever you're watching this, and if nobody told you today, I care for you. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then.